Now let's turn to this story now. Limpopo Health MEC Dr. Phophi Ramathuba has visited the Maake Clinic after a video emerged showing a nurse and a patient assisted exchanging words over treatment delays. The department has launched an investigation into the matter. Here's the MEC now joining us for more on that story. MEC, good evening, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. The video I've watched, at least the 5-minute that is online, tells part of the story. I would presume it doesn't really tell the full story of what could have happened here. But first and foremost, let us establish certain parameters to our conversation. Is the lady who is engaged in a telephone conversation while the mother who's assisting a patient with an emergency a qualified nurse?
Evening, Thabo, and evening to all your viewers out there. Yes, indeed, regrettable. So it is a professional nurse who was dressed in her night gowns or night dresses, who was attending to the patient. And
how does it happen at that particular point, or is it part of the deployment that she was the only one who would be able to have attended to emergencies or patients at that particular hour?
Yeah, that is true. What we discovered today, it's something that it's really uncalled for. We are ashamed about the video, about what really happened. But having met with the professional nurse and listened to her side of the story, of course, we reprimanded her for not going on duty without in a proper uniform. But given the situation where you have colleagues who are on sick leave and you are finding yourself having to come and assist the situation and your supervisors are not there, at times you continue to bottle up this pressure. Every time you are subjected to work alone because somebody is on sick leave or whatever reason, your supervisors are not with you, and their supervisors are also hardly visiting the facility. You seem to be alone. You bottle up all this and you end up ventilating and bursting on a wrong person, which is a mother who is also frustrated because she's got a sick child. And with the sick child, when she arrives there, she found that the nurse is busy on the phone and not understanding that while she was busy on the phone trying to get assistance, because there's another pregnant woman in labor who is not, that they don't even have her records. She has never attended their antenatal. So risking to deliver such a person without really getting the records and alone, if there's any complication, you might still be found having committed an error. So yes, she does acknowledge that she lost it and on a wrong person, and that was not supposed to be the case, because as healthcare workers, we could not be exchanging words and with the patients like that. But then the good thing is that both parties acknowledge the fact that they were both in difficult situation, and they've been able, because that was the aim for my visit again, to say we need to restore peace and stability within that particular area, because the community was also going to be revolting. That we've been able to achieve, the community understand. But having said that, the work that needs to be done is to be able to address the management, whether it's at a sub-district or at a district level or at a facility level, because there's been a lot of things that I cannot share with them here, because some of them will be coming during the disciplinary processes of some of the managers, and I will be accused of playing to the media gallery. So allow me to allow the head of department who has been instructed to really deal with this matter and treat it with the sensitivity it deserves.
Right. At top level, I mean, if we were to, without getting into too much of the details, how would you describe a situation where, for us, especially in the media, because recently we were reporting on not a similar situation, but a situation where health practitioners are frustrated by the system and the lack of support within the system. So they ended up organizing some cardboard boxes, and they kept newly delivered babies in these things to try and keep them warm, because they were frustrated with the situation of incubators not being made available. We are dealing with a nurse now who is frustrated by a situation of having no support either from the supervisor or colleagues who are on sick leave. So in that situation, what would you say is the failure there? Where would the failure be sitting in supporting that particular health practitioner to carry out her work professionally, as we both agree that that kind of behavior was not in keeping up with her professional values?
I think, Tabo, it starts with the immediate supervisor. Every clinic has got, either it's a permanently employed OPN or active. And clinics are clustered and they have got area managers. We recently introduced a system where all clinics will be reporting to the hospital that is close by, the district hospital. This is one of the areas where we are really fighting with the unions. And we said we are doing this so that the CEO of a hospital, who is much more resourced and much more equipped, can be able to support our clinics. They don't have to wait for support from a district, which at times district offices are 150 to 200 kilometers away from that clinic. But you will find that the hospital is 50 to 30 kilometers away from that particular hospital. So the system at the clinic level, the frustration gets to when you have an operational manager. When they see that there is a shortage of staff, they continue to subject the nurses, because these nurses, some of them, like this one, despite all those things that we have picked up, when I look at their duty roster, you find that she's always there. Whenever there is no one to report on duty, she's always reporting. Then she has reached a level of a burnout. Now that's where you want to know what did the operational manager did. That's where you want to know what did the area manager do. You want to know what is the district director of a PHC, what have they done when they see these problems like this. Why was we at my level not informed? We know the challenges we're facing. And for instance, right now when we were almost about to advertise a post, another batch of posts for professional nurses to fill up the gaps in those particular clinics like this one, which is quite a busy clinic because it's right within the communities and it's accessible by the community. And then we are told you cannot advertise this post because National Treasury, after the agreement with Labour, the 7.5% agreement must be funded from the current budget that you have. And we're saying, but with this attrition, when we have lost so many nurses, can we be allowed to appoint? And this is where the problem is. So this whole prop chain, which starts up there with even us here, unfortunately, the pain gets filled by the nurse who is on the cold face. The problem becomes when supervisors are not there to carry and be supportive of the particular nurse, and she end up breaking her ethics and broke down. I was sharing with the executive management to say, when we don't support our staff at the cold face, we continue to expect quality health care to be rendered. We are not different from that abusive man who continue to abuse the wife, and one day the wife take the abuse to the children because she can't face the husband. Yeah. Now, because these nurses cannot face their supervisors at clinic levels, they then face and vent their anger on a patient. So our problem is the type of managers that we appoint in our facilities. unless we get those with passion, those with energy, who can still run around and walk about, so that when somebody does not report on duty. The other time when you interview me about Retabile Health Center, it was because I found the patients on the queue from 7 o'clock until 3 o'clock. And while those patients were waiting to be seen, the managers were sitting in the office. And
because of time, sorry, MEC, I'm going to jump in there. That's the next question that I wanted to ask you. It seemed to me the patient having a right to raise a concern, but she was frustrated because she at that particular point didn't even have an outlet as to where is she going to escalate this particular matter of her dissatisfaction with the service. She's pulling the security guard. They're saying, come and be my witness. She's taking the video. It seems there is no platform that is created for the patients to be able to raise this concern and say, look, I am not satisfied with how I'm being treated here at this point.
That is where the problem is. Even though the nurse showed us where they wrote the numbers of the supervisor, because the district manager has given a cell phone to all the clinics and facilities so that when patients have got challenge, they can contact her directly. But of course, at that time, it's at night. Most of the supervisors are comfortable sleeping in their beds, and the nurses are left to face and have to deal with the patient. I think that is where the major frustration was coming from. To say those of us who are managing, it's a sad case, because the former president once described, Thabo Mbeki once described some of us as public servants, that we like arriving at work as late as possible and perform as little as possible and leave as early as possible. And these are type of managers that I've realized we are having in some of the facilities, but which we are continuously trying to deal with and address. Hence you hear some of the unions in their corners saying we are targeting their shop stewards. Some of these operational managers, I must reassure you, these are shop stewards who are supposed to know better, because they're supposed to understand what is it to serve the working class. But unfortunately, they are the ones who do not give support to the very same members that they are supposed to support and provide. Because as a shop steward, I would see myself as an advantage to say, I'm a shop steward of this. This is my member, and also this is my employee. Therefore, I've got double responsibility in how to protect. But we are still lacking in that area, and we must be honest and be brutal with the truth.
A quick one, MEC, 30 seconds. What's going to happen now with the Maake incident? You're saying the HOD has been handed over the responsibility of investigating this.
There are administrative processes that must continue so that we really understand how did we get to where we are now. And as a political head, I cannot interfere with that administrative processes. And let's allow it to unfold, because whatever I'm saying today, maybe when the full investigation, which will look at the patient, the utilization of that clinic, the staff complement in that clinic, who is on duty, how often do we get sick leaves, whether we call them fed-up leaves, what do we do, what is the management, all that work needs to be done so that we can have a thorough report. But equally, what I needed to do was to make sure that, first and foremost, there is stability in that particular area, and the nurses are able to go and continue with their work, and the patients and the community begin to understand. We met with the traditional leader who did accept our apology, because we had to apologize. And even here, on behalf of our nurse, we do apologize, because she has said that to me. It was not out of her own will. She was really pushed by the frustration and the stress that she was going through. We don't justify what she has done. We don't condone what she has done. But we're saying allow the other process to continue. But in the meantime, let peace be restored. And we are happy that the clinic is continuing to function as it is for now.
MEC, I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on tonight. That's MEC for Health in Limpopo, Dr. Phophi Ramathuba.